Oh, you caught me live and we're trying to figure out how to get this sun to stop shining so bright. There you go. All right. I apologize for being all scruffy and got my gear from exercising out in the trail today. The Centennial Trail, myself and my colleague do that quite often. We do 4 miles a day on that. And as you all know, I'm training for the Pacific Crest Trail, which is a 2,650-mile track. So I'm out usually walking on treadmills 3 to 6 miles a day, trails 3 to 6 miles a day, and then other things. Let's jump into the message. Hello, TCI family, Jonathan's Refuge, and all of our faithful followers and friends. We love you so much. We're going to get to talking about the message, but let's first talk about the scripture. So we'll be in the. I am going to read from the Bible, the New Testament, in 1 Corinthians, written by Paul, and it's in chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. I'll read it for us. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? With a question mark. Run in such a way that you may obtain it. And everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now, they do it to obtain a perishable crown, but we for an imperishable crown. So, therefore, I run thus, not with uncertainty. Thus I fight, not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body, and I bring it into subjection, lest I, when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified. So, what is Paul trying to tell us? Now, right in the opening, it says, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? Then it says, run in such a way. And there, my friends, is the key. What is the way? What is the way that you need to run to be victorious over whatever it is you're trying to get that victory? Maybe you're trying to get a victory from stopping chewing tobacco. Maybe it's trying to stop smoking. I'm going on the trail. I drink 5 shots espresso every morning, Monday through Friday. So 5 days a week, I go into Starbucks. I get my 5 shots espresso, iced, and a little heavy cream. It's my drink. I drink it for years. And knowing that I'm going on the trail, and every year, anyone that knows me knows that I do throughout the year things where I just don't do something, just stop. Because I like to prove that nothing owns me. So if you smoke a cigarette, that cigarette owns you. The cigarette company owns you. You can't tell me any other way. It owns you. If you have to have tobacco, it owns you. If you have to have THC, it owns you. If you have to have a drink at the end of the day, it owns you. So I like to make sure nothing owns me. So one of my demons, as we would call them, would be coffee. So I've quit my coffee. How do I make sure I have a victorious victory at that? Well, we'll see. First, Paul's telling us that the leader, he's challenging us as the readers to run a good Christian faith, but a life with focus, because he says be focused. So if you're going to go ahead and try to win at something, be it sobriety, be it a relationship, trying to improve yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, you have to have focus. If you can't have focus, you are never going to accomplish it. The next step is you got to train. He talks about in verse 24, you got to train the body. You got to train the mind. You got to train the spirit. You got to train. Let me talk about training. Training's some crazy things when you think about some of the things that you have to do, like what I have to do for the mountains and what I'm training for. But I want to go back to basketball because I played ball when I was young. One of my mentors, you guys hear me talk about a lot, is a guy named Jerry Lucas. Go Google him. He is one of the top all-time 50 NBA Hall of Famers. And my dad worked for him, and Jerry is an amazing man. I dated his daughter, who we became friends and still are. His son was one of my best friends and still are. And Jerry, he taught me something because he was asking me what I was going to be, and I told him I was going to be an NBA basketball player, and he kind of chuckled like, "Oh God, okay, kid, do you know what it's going to take?" And I was like, "Of course I know what it's going to take. I got to be talented. I'm talented." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "How many free throws do you throw a day?" I'm like, "I don't know, probably 60, 70 free throws." He's like, "Not even going to make it into college." And I went, "What?" He goes, yeah, that won't even get you into college. He said, you got to train every day with a minimum of 500 free throws. Same shot every single time, just 500, one after another. Boom, boom. 500 of those 7 days a week. You have to do that 500 shots. And that's just part of the training. And I was like, whoa. And so now when I train on the trail for these big mountains and I'm packing 65, 75 pounds on me, people are like, are you out of your mind? And I'm like, no, I'm training to succeed because I don't want to be on the side of a cliff and my partner falls and I can't carry the weight of him on the rope. Then he's dangling over a cliff because I didn't train hard enough. Heck no. That's why we train. So you got to train. Then he talks about in verse 25, compete with passion. Be passionate about what you're doing. If you ever listen to me, I love what I do. If it's helping someone lose weight, man, I am so passionate about that because I lost 280 pounds of weight. And I'm passionate about helping people become healthier, living healthier, trying to avoid all the problems that I've lived through. So I find passion. And if you talk to me about the mountains, I can tell you so many fun and amazing things, but when I tell you them, it's passion coming out of my words. It's passion oozing out of my personality because I love what I talk about, love what I do. Whatever you're trying to get that victory in, you got to be passionate about it. Fight with purpose. What's your purpose for this fight? When I had diseases and tumors and these things, and they gave me dates of, possible death dates and these things, I had to fight with a purpose and I had to train harder. When they're doing radiation and chemo and you're puking your guts out, I don't get to stop. I had to still go do my 4-mile days, 3-mile days. I'm sorry, back then it was only 3-mile days. I had to go do my 3-mile days. I'd puke. I'd fall to the ground from exhaustion and I'd been through treatment and I'd be puking and people looked at me and said, dude, you've got all the excuse in the world to do nothing. Nobody will care. And I said, but I'm running a race. I've got to win. I need to make sure my body knows I'm not dying. And I'm going to make sure it knows because I'm training to win. I was fighting with a purpose. My purpose was to push so hard that I knew my body would know this is it. We're training. We're going to win. And we did. And then, of course, on verse 26, if you look at that, that's mastering their flesh. That's you master your flesh. Why is it important to master your flesh? I can give you 1,000 reasons. Let's just start off with a couple. So, one reason to master your flesh, if all you can do is smoke cigarettes because you have to have it, or chew the tobacco because you have to have it, or smoke some THC because you have to have it. If you're doing something because you have to have it, you're not mastering your flesh. And if you tell me, yeah, but I can stop at any time, then show me, prove it to me. Go take whatever substance it is you're doing and just put a halt on it for 3 months, 4 months. I do every year. Sorry, we have bells in the studio, so if you hear her barking. Every year for 3 to 4 months, I don't do anything. I love a good wine or a fine whiskey. Won't touch it. Love to have cigars. Those I don't have too often because of health reasons. But I'll go 3 to 4 months and not touch one. Don't care. No matter what it is. Coffee, anything, whatever you think, TV. I don't know what it is that you might think that is, you're just like, I can quit anytime. Then prove it to yourself. Prove it to me. Prove it to yourself so that you can tell me you proved it to yourself. Because it's not about proving it to everyone else in all respect, even though I said prove it to me. It's about you proving it to you. Master your flesh. What if God, I go out with people all the time on the trail, and man, within 20 minutes, I'm hungry. Didn't we tell you that you had to eat a hearty breakfast before you left this morning? But I didn't think it would be this hard. We told you it would be this hard. So their flesh is screaming for food, and they can't master that. I can go on a trail. I can go out and walk 30 miles and not eat one meal for the 30 miles. Now, that's not something you can just do. I had to work and train at that. I had to learn how to control my cravings. I'd walk by as I'm walking from Oso, Washington to South Everett, 53 miles or so, or 33 miles or so. I'd have to walk past all these fast food restaurants, but I could just walk in, ching, get a quick burger, anything. Nope. Wow. How? Because I had focus. I had passion. I was fighting with a purpose. And my flesh is easy to control. I went on a fast once when I was in my 20s for a total of 30 days. 30 days. It was a 30 or 40-day fast. I can't remember. I got to double check. Jesus in the New Testament did a fast. I think it was 40 days. I copied him. I wanted to see what he went through, right? So I went on this 40-day fast from food and just lived off of water. I lost a ton of weight, not a healthy way, by the way, but it was brutal. But having done that, I know that I can master anything in that area. So if it's food craving, I have to eat. I was in prison. You know what they make you have to do in prison a lot? Wait. Do you know how often you have to go to the bathroom and you might be sitting waiting in a line, locked down on the ground, laying down because there was a shanking and a murder, and you might have to go potty, but you can't go for 6 hours. 6 hours. You got to hold it. And if you go ahead and let it out right then and there, I mean, you just learn. You can practice. I've talked to soldiers that have been in foxholes. You got no choice. You just got to go to the bathroom right there in your hole and just keep on fighting. There's so many things that you just suck up in the real world. You're like, suck it up, buttercup. And so that is in essence what Paul's telling us in these statements here. Now, what's interesting, everybody loves to win when you think about it. John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. And John, I was teaching on his law of victory this week in my business, one of my companies. And here's one of the things John actually says in one of his books. This book is his The 21 Most Powerful Minutes in a Leader's Day by John Maxwell. And John says, the team that achieves victory is the one comprised of individuals who first win their internal battles. And the first person on any team who must face and win these internal battles is the leader. Whether he happens to be a coach, a parent, an employer, a pastor, team captain, or entrepreneur, unquote. Now, I'm going to read this one more time, and I want you to hear these words that Maxwell says. The team that achieves victory is the one comprised of individuals who first win their internal battles. What are your internal battles? We just talked about what Paul said, right? We're over here in verses 24 through 27, 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And Paul says, do you not know that those who run in a race all run? And then as you continue down, he gets to the end where he says in verse 26, he's talking about you have to have your body under control and master your body. And over here it says, John's saying that teams that achieve victory, and he actually has a whole chapter and he researched and tells you all these different NFL and NBA and all these amazing teams that have done this, SEAL teams accomplishing great feats. So how do they all do this? And it came out to this. The team that achieves victory is the one comprised of individuals who first win their internal battles. So you've got to first overcome your internal battles. What are the internal battles? What's your internal BS? What is the BS in you that you're fighting internally? I fight it all the time. I get upset. There's something that upset me pretty bad this week. It took me a whole day. I allowed something to own me for a day. I'm not proud of that. That's life. But do you let it stop? Do you stop it or do you just let it continue? I used to let that go for a week or two. I could be that guy that would be like a week or two. And you're like, why are you still upset? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So what happened to let you learn how to get that victory? Well, you first have to get that battle inside of you won. If you can't win your internal battles, you can't win external battles. You can't control your flesh. There's a guy today I wanted to I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to get out of the house, the office, wanted to go over and just grab him and just plummet him. He fraudulent. He did things, used the company's card and broke the law. I could have him arrested. He's a felon. I could have him thrown in prison. They'd give him another probably 2-year bit. But I wanted to do all that. I wanted to physically let him know how angry I was. But that's okay to have those feelings. That's natural. People have those natural feelings. Maybe you don't want to beat him up, but it makes you angry. Okay. Everyone has these natural things. For me, I want to beat him up. And that's a natural thing that comes up in me. But how do I have my victories? Because I don't allow that to rule me. You see over here when we were talking about training and compete with passion, well, the training is where you have to train yourself to control your flesh. You're fighting with purpose, but you have to train everything first. So we got to train our flesh. That might mean you're that guy out there working out 6 hours a day in the gym because you're going in for something. The last few weeks of this, before I leave here, I'm pretty much nothing but training day in and day out. It's just nonstop mountains, train, Lime Kiln Trail, up and down, 300, 600, 900 feet elevation, up and down, trying to get down to Mount Rainier and summit Mount Rainier, attempt that if I can get the pass in time. All these little things. Just train, go, 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 go. And everyone's like, why are you doing this? Because you got to. That's what it takes to be a winner. You got to put it all on the line. Then he says, and the first person on any team who must face and win these internal battles is the leader. So you're leading your home. Maybe you're a family or maybe you're a single person. I have men in our home that are single. And if you're single, then you're leading yourself. Okay. But maybe you're a coach. I have companies and we have employees and their coaching staff. And then we have our therapy staff, which on our behavioral health side of our agency as a mental health facility, we've got our doctors, our therapists, we've got our coaches, we've got our specialists, we've got our case specialists, we have case managers, we have all these different people, and they're the leader. They're the leader of their group, of their people, of their department. Maybe you own a company. You're the employer. You're the leader. Maybe you're a pastor. Like years before I was a bishop, my favorite thing about pastoring was it's a very complex job. It's not actually a simple job, but it's also very simple in some respects. And I miss, when I became a bishop, I always wanted to run bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so God had his plans and reasons that I would go the path I went, and I did. And I lost touch with those roots of being a pastor. I love going to the hospitals and visiting my parishioners, and I love going to the birthdays and the anniversaries and the funerals and the births and all of those wonderful events that are victories in our life. We got to celebrate those. And so it's important that it doesn't matter if you're the pastor or a team captain, if you're on a football team and you're in high school or a college team, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to start your business, or you're trying to get into a department in your company and prove that you're the person for the job. This is part of what it's going to take you to do. And so I'm going to wrap this up because I'm trying to keep them under 20 as we do mostly. I want you to remember, train, compete with passion every day for your job, for your friendships, for your life, for your health. Compete with passion. Compete with passion. Make sure you're fighting with purpose. What's your purpose? What's your why? Why are we doing this? Why am I out there training? Why am I going to go and walk from Mexico to Canada? My why is sitting right in the studio. It's a young man over here who's completely burned from head to toe in a fire and took his life, went to take his life. And now he weighs maybe 126 pounds. And how much percentage of your body is burned? 83% of his body was burned. And he'll never be the same. And he has no hands. He has nubs. That's my purpose. That's my why. It's sitting right here. I don't have to go, what's my why? It's right there. I don't have to even think about what it is. It's sitting in front of me. It's my friend who I will never allow to have happen to another person if I have any choice in the matter. And how do I do that? We provide a home of hope. This man is one of my key leaders in my organizations now. And it's his inspiring story and that of others. My dear friend Eric, who, like my friend here, completely burned as a child by his dad in a fire. And unfortunately, he died later. But he was my friend. And as a young boy, that's what got me started. I wanted to create a refuge for people. And that's what we do at Jonathan's Refuge. And my friend over here is one of the assistant managers of that organization and a manager of another thing in our organization. Because of the refuge being opened, there would never be this connection with this man over here. So when you ask me what's my why, that's easy. I've got a bunch of them, a whole bunch. And they're all named. And I'm not going to give everyone's names, but I'm just using one that's in the studio right now. So I love you guys. You need to know what your why is. And then you need to last do what? Master your flesh. So Paul says, master your flesh. If your flesh controls you because of your alcohol and your tobacco and your food. Listen, my flesh used to really control me. It was bad. I mean, I could eat like Snickers, full candy, sugar bars, soda pops all day. And that's why I was 450 pounds. Okay. Trust me, this isn't just drugs or tobacco. It could be TV. I know people that can't put down this thing right here called social media. I know people that literally live on social media. Their entire life is like wrapped up on that thing. I wonder what would happen if everyone on the earth instantly had their cell phone shut off and you could never use a cell phone, never see another picture on the social media, never have another post for like 3 days, but tell them it was all for a year and see what would happen. Just like if you took alcoholics and you stopped the alcohol from flowing, they would like freak out and panic. So we're not just talking about drugs. We're talking about anything that can control you. And I have to look at my life like with my coffee. It controls me. So I got to make sure I don't let it. And so whatever it is you got to do, you got to train that flesh. And it's not something you do one time, by the way. Because again, I might do this for 4 months and then I might not go back to my coffee, but maybe I do. And if I do, you'll see me next year taking 4 or 5 months off just to get away and flush my system and prove that I don't need it. But whatever it is you need to look at to help master that in your flesh, do so. Because once you can control your flesh, you're ready for the top shelf stuff. If you're still out there struggling and you are out, then you're not going to be doing top shelf jobs, top tier jobs, executive jobs, top producing places. Don't hire people who don't have their flesh under control. Like I say 1,000 times, boy, I'd like to just pop that guy. Saying you want to do it and doing it are two different things. My first reaction might be to pop somebody, but it just goes in one part of the brain and I just send it right out the other way and say that's not going to happen because I control myself. And so I want you to look at that as we go through this week to become the victor in your life. Have victory. We love you guys. God bless you. We'll see you next week out on the trails, okay?